welcome again to Black Cat Chat. I'm Andy Clow, Marketing Director at Black Cat Building Consultancy. Today I'm joined by what I could probably consider a bit of are you an old friend yet?
You're my friend.
We've known each other for a couple of years, so a good friend now, in Joanna Whitear, currently heading up the ESG team, so ESG Lead and Director at Black Cat. Welcome, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you,
we're going to have a bit of a dive into your history as a professional and the ESG industry, but generally just as it's in the title, Black Cat Chat. We're Black Cats, let's have a chat. So welcome, nice. How you doing?
I'm good, I'm really good, yeah.
Excellent. What brings you down from... where do you live?
I live up in Lancaster. I am a Lancashire girl, born and bred.
Right.
But I do like the Lake District, so I kind of live north of Junction 34. That's what I aspire to do on the M6. And yeah, we moved up to the South Lakes last September, which to me has been a really important move in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, hugely impactful. I just... I feel that I was hitting... My life was abundant in a lot of other ways, but there was something going on where I just needed to do more with nature, do more with the community, and being in a small rural village helps me do exactly that. And it's good for the kids, it's good for the brain.
It sounds absolutely delightful. Living in a suburban town outside of London, and having business parks at either end of the road and all this kind of stuff, just like our house is fine, but the idea of actually getting back to nature. I've obviously sat on Zoom calls or whatever with you, and you can see out the window, and we've seen some of your footage on LinkedIn recently, and just to see what is on the doorstep sounds fantastic, which does obviously filter into the whole ESG side of your professional life as well. So, but we'll come to that later. If we go back a little bit in terms of, I mentioned that we're work friends, and we're friends now. I think we can go as far as that. You said I can call you Joe and no one else can in the business.
Nobody else can.
Taking that as a high acclaim. But if we look back into, so what was it, 18 months ago, maybe less, no, a year ago, when we first really started working together at a different business, which, we built our relationship there. And I remember sitting on a Teams call with you after being recommended by one of our American colleagues to say, the person within this business that's going to go places that you really need to get to know is... Well, it's you, obviously.
Which is the biggest form of flattery, and I'm stunned by that. That really surprises me, because I don't feel like that. I feel like a massive imposter most of the time.
Well,
I'm not
that's probably why.
One of these people that can sit on panels and talk.
Exactly. Well, that's probably why Greg...
Northern.
I'm going to give Greg a shout out there, our American friend. And he highlighted you. And so I took that, other than the beers and curries that we were having from that day, that piece of advice... I acted on the next day, and I was like, I've got a project I could work on with Joanna. Yeah. So I'm going to reach out. And from that point on, I could see that we were kind of kindred spirits in terms of what we can achieve in the workspace. And we started talking about what we could do, what we would do if it was the two of us, if we were setting up. And myself coming from marketing, but as a designer, as a professional, really, that's what I kind of consider myself, with the 20 plus years experience doing, and your expertise in within ESG and how actually we can incorporate those two. Branding, like genuine, honest, no greenwashing bullshit.
No greenwashing, yeah.
And that conversation went on, and then, about this time last year, I got a contact from Ben through LinkedIn, our founder and director here at Black Cat, and I knew, because we had you in common, I was like, something's happening here, this is interesting, and everything fell into place very quickly. So, delighted to be working with you again here.
As am I.
Exactly.
And it's all meant to be,
It is meant to be. It is meant to be. And can I apologise publicly that I'm not doing enough work for Joanna and her team right now? Okay, that's coming. Exactly. But it's difficult.
Hence why I have to come onto a podcast to talk to you.
You've travelled how many miles? 250 miles just to nag me about
just to have an hour sat actually face to face in front of you.
We're doing an hour.
Because otherwise you give me 5 minutes and you say, I've got to work now. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I know. I apologise. So, but in terms of setting that up, like, whereas a lot of the other people that have sat down in the chair opposite me here, they've had a longer history within Black Cat. Now, you've got history with Black Cat from how long ago? Start there. Tell us about how you know Black Cat.
Oh, I think that me and Ben Golby had a run-in a kebab shop at about 3 a.m. in Lancaster University in 2002, 2003, that kind of time. So I think that we have some history there. Not an intimate history. I'm going to put that out there. And then after that, at DTZ, I was. I graduated as a building surveyor, but I decided I didn't want to stick with surveying. Surveying at the time, there was an element of toxic masculinity. In these workplaces, and I just didn't see myself as it, and I think it's changed beyond comprehension as to where it was back then. I certainly didn't. I knew I wanted to be a mum, and I just couldn't. I couldn't see a future where I was like, well, hang on, what if I'm doing site audits in Aberdeen on a Thursday night and I get stuck up in there, and there was just certain elements. I just thought it feels like a long time you just sat on the motorway.
There's a lot of travel, as I'm learning with all of our colleagues do a lot of mileage.
And that just it wasn't right for me. There's a part of me that just thinks I should have persevered a little bit longer. I'm regretful that I never did my APC. I would have liked to have had that charter title and then at least started to adopt ESG along those lines. But, life is a journey, and, I do think that things are carved out for you. I do. I'm a big believer in fate. And I was at DTZ. I knew Ben there. Ben was one of the surveying team. He was downstairs. He used to pop and say hi to me, and he was probably the most energetic out of all the surveyors. I remember LED lighting was a brand new thing, and I brought in a supplier into DTZ, and it's a lunch and learn, and he was the only surveyor that tripped up to learn all about LED. It's everywhere. But he is one who likes to embrace innovation, and so I've always known that. At DTZ, I was sat there. I was kind of working in the estates management team. And in a retail sense, but I knew I wanted to do a little bit more, and probably wanted to do a little bit more for the planet, which was very virtuous of me at the time. But I was kind of early 20s, and I wasn't as jaded as I am now.
Well, I think that's true of all of us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you you get these notions and ideas in your head, and all I did was just reach out to the this chap that was setting up the sustainability time at the time, so a chap called Paul Sutcliffe, and I said, Paul, I want to join your team. And 10 minutes later, it felt like I was in his team, and we did well. We did really. It was a hard push at first because it had to. ESG was all about BREEAM and EPCs, and we couldn't mention doing things for the planet. That angle wasn't there. It was all about how to save you money. So you're going to install LED lighting because it's going to save you so much. That was our angle altogether, and it was a hard sell. He then left. He set up a company called Evora, and I went after a few years.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. And after a few years of me hopping around in other environmental management roles, including a spell in construction, which was fun, actually being on site and being able to talk to, being able to get to grips and understand.
Did you have a different colour hard hat because you were doing something different? Because I don't know if there's a code. No. You see all different ones. Okay, I'm just learning these things.
I didn't.
There should be a code.
I didn't. I learned how to use my female strengths in a very male way then, actually. That was a really, really good learning for me. I was able to talk to site teams right from the labourers right up to the directors at Eric Wrights, and that was a really good exposure for me. But I was getting absolutely no traction with environmental management. It was just seen as just a complete tick
Put it into context, what kind of year are we talking here?
2011, that kind of time. And then I have to think about how my babies are born. It's like, when was my next child born? And then, so just after Sam was born, Sam was, he's my youngest. He was a real challenge for me, and I realised quickly that I couldn't go back to work after 12 months. So I didn't return to Eric Wrights, and I was going to join the family business, which they manage a lot of ground rents, thousands and thousands of ground rents. But it is a diminishing business in the sense of it's family owned, and the problems of a family business, if they do not want it to grow, and they don't have any vision, I'd feel stifled. So I did it for about 3 months before I just went, hang on, if I want to do it, it has to be my way, and I want to do it. I want to set up a fund, I want to invest, and I want to grow. And instead, my uncles, who is a business, they were all about, actually, no, we want to retire, and we just want to sell it, stage by stage. And I was like, so all I would have done is just be an administrator for a business that's being wound up.
A waste of your talent.
Oh, it would have absolutely destroyed me.
Yeah.
And I quickly realised I actually need to be for a business that it has got a vision,
Yeah.
that has got a vision for growth. And Evora, so I reached out to Paul. I just said, can you just look at my CV, Paul? And he said, come in. And I sat down with him, had lunch with him, and he showed me this organogram. He went, right, I'm here. Oh, and you're here.
Awesome.
And I went, oh, all right. Is this an interview? Okay. All right. Okay, fair enough. And he went, yeah, you're starting on Monday. I went, oh, right. Okay, fine. So I went into Evora, and they were absolutely fantastic. And I went through a trajectory of coming in as a regular consultant, and almost left as head of European account management and an ESG director. So I climbed up this little ladder, and I had the most fabulous experiences. The client exposure at the time was wonderful. So we've worked with the likes of M&G and L&G and PGIM and just these really, really big brands. But also my particular passion is working with the smaller clients. So my clients at Evora were all small players, but I could work directly with the fund managers, directly with the asset managers, and I could really make an impact. And I love those individuals. I saw one of them the other day at UK Reef. I took her out for dinner, and I had to hug her at the end. I was like, I really care about you. I don't want to win any work off you, but I just care about you. Yeah. And I did the same earlier in the week with a chap who works at Allied London now. And I was just, I think there is to me, I've got to have that relationship with that client, and once it clicks, it's there forever, and that's really important to me. Client satisfaction is important to me.
That's clearly recognised within Black Cat, right? Which is presumably that next step, because you just explained being in a great position at Evora, which is for clarity, that's where I know you from, because we both worked there for a time, and then something happened, something changed.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. Can I be all honest about this, or
It's up to you. It depends whether or not it makes the edit. We can always bleep over stuff.
You can always bleep over stuff. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So I went into. So it was bought out by a private equity firm, who thought that they were buying a tech firm. So the value of consultancy was diminished within the firm, which was that was a really interesting experience for me. All of these things, even when they're challenges in your life, adds to the person that you actually are, and adds to the resiliency of you. I could see the consultancy piece being nibbled away. So I loved Evora. To be entirely honest with you, I was heartbroken to leave, and there was. I saw it at 200 consultants being diminished away to very few. There was a significant redundancy loss, and I saw an opportunity, because I thought I can't stand idly by when I felt that there were consultants that were being made redundant that are, to me, better consultants.
Yeah.
They may not have the same sentiments, the same emotions in terms of client satisfaction that I have. I know I wear my heart on my sleeve there, but God tonight, they are better at data quality, they are better at auditing, they've got all of these skills that I couldn't see lost. So I know I'd had lunch a few times with Ben and Stephen over the years, and I always got the sense that they were getting to the place that they were nearly ready for ESG with it, but they didn't quite understand it, and I still needed to be on my journey. I wasn't yet ready to do it for them. So picked up the phone and just said, right, I'm ready to come, but I'm bringing a team with me. So it was all done very fast, and within 6 weeks I effectively brought in a team of 6, which was the scariest move. 7.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it was terrifying, but equally thrilling as well. It's been, to me, a real gift being able to craft a team that what I feel the market needs now. So at Evora 10 years ago, we were working with fund managers and asset managers, and they didn't have sustainability teams in-house.
Yeah.
Their knowledge of ESG was really rudimentary, and
it's just putting the bins out, right?
Absolutely, of course it is. Yeah. And the market wasn't as saturated as it is now, so they were able to advance on that quite easily, and the market has changed. So the clients, the likes of those clients, NNG and your LNG, they've all got sustainability teams in-house.
Of course they have.
So the consultants have to offer something different to what they were offering 10 years ago. And so what I hope I've done is pull together a team that have got that intellectual know-how to fulfill the gaps that I think exist. Yeah. So what does a head of sustainability need? It's definitely different than the ESG training or just being a GRES monkey. But it's about pushing them forwards, because I think that if you do go in-house, and this I've considered it numerous times, would it be easier in here? But my problem is you end up plateauing because you're not learning and developing in the right way. So yeah. I'm proud to be a consultant. I can't see me doing anything else other than consultancy for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
But whilst I've brought in a team at Black Cat operates in a way that is quite sectional, so I'm allowed to do generally what I want. I can sell what I want. I can productize it in whichever way I like. But I don't want to work like that, because that actually won't help the larger business. So I think Black Cat has got a trajectory for growth. I think it's got a vision for growth, even though it's not stated anywhere, but I think that it is. We want to grow. And I need to have that in my mind.
Yeah.
For me, it's about working with project managers, integrating ESG in the right way into what they do, sharpening the tools that are in their box. Absolutely. Same with the building surveyors. Same with the quantity surveyors as well. So no longer is the quantity surveyor going to say, right, okay, well, hang on, how much is these carpet tiles? We want to provide that layer of going, well, how much carbon is in these carbon tiles? So there are two really important metrics in real estate right now.
Yep. It's
just revenue and carbon.
Okay.
So that is it. Everything else is kind of just fluff. And I think if I think about it that way, that really helps me. But what I love at Black Cat is being able to build partnerships and work with suppliers as well. So that was something that it just wasn't encouraged, which I think that the best way that we are going to move forward is to work with the very best in the industry and to have knowledge of what's going on.
That's a fantastic roundup, in terms of your history and then bringing it all the way through to today. And I think, what you're highlighting with those two metrics, from very much a layman, if you like, even though I've worked in sustainability fields now for the last few years, just to actually put it down to that very simplest way of looking at things. Now, I've had people sit down with me and explain the metrics of the finances. That there is a true belief and scientific backing to say that by being correctly sustainable, you will make or save money, and there's a simple black and white option for that across the board, whether it's real estate or, making crisps or whatever you're going to be doing. But to actually consider and understand the carbon beyond that phrase, carbon footprint, beyond the day-to-day life where I think, okay, I'm going to get a flight and I'm told there's X amount of carbon going to be for my bum sat on that seat going on that plane. But to actually put that into the business and the real estate context where it really matters and people can start making a difference, not just offsetting, but actually, doing something better. And I know that's what you and the team are experts in, and being able to apply that knowledge and understanding and translate that understanding to people who don't necessarily get it, or they've not necessarily even considered it before
Yeah.
as a real metric. So I'm excited to see what you guys bring to Black Cat and to our clients, and to really see that 6 experts, and that Black Cat has this policy for director level team, and that's clear with all the guys that you're working with, and so that's going to be really interesting to see what happens and how that integration does happen across the board. So any of our clients can just say there's going to be a way for us to support them and to make them more money, save them money, or potentially improve their carbon output, which would be the dream ideally. So I suppose in terms of today and how we're hearing the news and everything like that, to me, having worked in sustainability for a little while, seems like there is a little bit of negativity about that space. So is there something that's really picking up in from your perspective as to where you can see actually we are making a difference and we can make differences to clients with regards to the carbon, etc.? What's happening today that wasn't necessarily happening 2 years ago?
You're right, it does pose a real challenge, and somebody asked me that last night. He just said, what is the biggest hurdle for you?
They asked a much better question. That's much better.
And it's trying to persuade people in a Trump era.
Yeah, I didn't want to call it out.
That is where we're at. ESG can be seen as woke.
Yes.
Fluffy language.
Yeah.
Not action driven, not bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
And I've got to persuade them otherwise. And and luckily the team the way that I speak is fairly blunt and direct and northern, and I'm very output focused.
Yeah.
And certain members of my team are even more so like that. And that helps.
Yeah.
But ultimately, clients have a fiduciary duty to look after an investor's money. Okay. So, hence, they've got to think about climate resiliency. We're still in a place where extreme weather is going on. So, how do we adapt? How do we look after those buildings better?
Yeah.
And if I take an example of due diligence, so I think, particularly at Black Cat, one of the product offerings that the ESG team have got with due diligence is to, when a client is acquiring a building, they should look at that building holistically to think, is that a good investment? Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to do at Black Cat is to take a few different chefs to look at that. So when is the condition right? So I've got a building surveyor looking at it.
Yeah.
What's the cost of it? So I'm looking at quantity surveyor. How much is it going to cost to actually develop that building to what your objectives are. Fire, safety, all these different elements, but there's also ESG as well. Mm-hmm. And we're developing what I think is a really great tool that can look at that building and can understand how far away is that building from being carbon neutral. Yeah. What will I need to spend to decarbonise that building, and how climate resilient is that building as well. Okay. So what are the adaptation measures that need to be put in place to mitigate against extreme weather? And all of that should talk and be connected to what everybody else is doing. So you end up with the client receiving one message, rather than, and I'm describing at the moment as multiple different recipes of different chefs. Okay. I think we should just be all feeding into one dish. Now that's going to take a little bit of time with Black Cat but I think we're at the right size. So if we'd been any smaller, we wouldn't have as many chefs to actually feed into it. Any larger, then you get to the point where we're all siloed and we work in our own little things, and then you end up with, it'll be too difficult to be able to sit around the table and pour into the message into that client. So I think we're at the real sweet spot in terms of size and in terms of expertise to be able to really offer value for money for a client, and to give that effective due diligence on that asset.
And that in terms of an ideal client for that, or an ideal opportunity for somebody to make the most of that, what scale of estate is that? Is it asset? Is it portfolio? Who can you help with that product?
That's usually asset level.
Okay.
So as a team, we offer ESG at asset level. We offer ESG due diligence. There's a nice piece of work that we're doing with integrating carbon into PPMs, which are planned preventative maintenance.
Okay.
And these things have always been out there.
Yeah.
But nobody's thought, let's have a carbon overlay in there. So a PPM is effectively just your shopping list of what you're going to spend on your building over the next 10 years. What are the priorities? And so if you decide, well, I'm not going to replace my roof then, I'm going to replace my roof, move it around, what are the impacts? And it's all about, it's from an expenditure perspective, it's maintenance planning. What we're doing by looking at carbon and energy in a PPM, I think, is quite innovative, and I think that's a really nice thing we're doing. We've got green building certifications going on as well. Obviously, Rachel manages that side. So your BREEAM, your Fitwell, your WELL, your LEED. That's a nice piece of work, and she's good at projects and development. So she's working with project managers and giving them that nudge to think about ESG with every decision that they take.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then on fund level, it kind of goes back to what we were doing at Evora. And for me, ESG reporting is still my passion. I was thinking about this at the weekend. I was just like, I miss just writing an ESG report. I've not done that for a while. And it goes back to what me and you wanted to do in our own little back bedrooms, where I would write the report. And then
make it look pretty.
And then you would tart it up.
Yeah, tart it up. Yeah, that's fine. Whichever phrase it is, that's good. Joanne, I mean, this has been really insightful. There's so many conversations that I'm sure we'll have sat in these or similar seats about about the industry and how we're hopefully making really positive impacts on that. So for today, I think we're good. Right?
Nice.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you very much for your time and coming down and spending this time with me. As you say, you need to book it in these days. And to anyone listening, watching, thank you for joining us. We look forward to welcoming you back next time. Thanks for watching.